Listen, man, a lot happened this weekend, man, with tech, basketball. Bro, let's get to it, man. Let's get to it.
Yeah, no,
Talk to me.
absolutely. Absolutely. Welcome back to the brain down. Now, I wanted to jump in and really talk to you about the government. I know everybody's building businesses around AI, and just like everything else, it's just as soon as it starts to get good and people start to gain some traction and some confidence, the government comes in and tries to shut things down. And AI is no different.
Nah.
So I wanted to kind of pick your brain on that because I know you're a little closer to it because you play with it a
Yeah.
little more than I do.
So I guess Anthropic had dropped a piece of a new model a couple days back, and Fable 5. And I got a chance to play around with it. Very phenomenal tool for sure. Very cutting edge. And what's interesting is that on the Friday, the government came in and said, shut that down. Now, if you somebody who running your entire business through AI, especially using Claude, now they did give us a window for 2 weeks. It wasn't something that people have gotten used to just yet. But it's one of those scenarios that it just goes to show you, even with these great tools, a lot of them, those things you don't even own. Like you don't have real full access. You have access to them, but technically it can interrupt your business just like a staff member, just like an employee. Like, and it's interesting how, AI has been around for years. And now that the little guys like us got our hands on it, the government is like, well, hold on now. We got to make sure we put some guardrails on this thing. And I just think it's interesting, man. Like, how people are navigating through this space, letting staff go, letting people go, and don't even have a clue at all if it's going to impact their business later on if government wants more control over these tools out here.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. It's been around since the 50s, and now that it's open, and I can't help but wonder if, like a lot of other industries, it's either because it's one of those take my ball and go home situations, or it's one of those I'm not getting the cut that we think we deserve because we let you have access, even though it probably wasn't theirs to begin with. There were probably engineers that just engineered it and gave it to the government. But now that those engineers have decided to start creating platforms and models available to the public, I guess the government got a little jealous and was like, you showing too much love to too many people. You either bring it back home or we gonna shut it down.
Well, not to get ourselves in trouble, they always watching. But, when Anthropic leadership decided not to give the government autonomy to use it for weapons of mass destruction, they started to have a target on their back. And
Yeah.
and then when you got chat like, hey, we'll beat it, we'll do it. It's kind of like, you know, when a good thing is good, most of the time someone at the top wants to control it. And that's kind of how, Anthropic has put themselves in a position to really make the small business win, and or just people in general. Creativity has always used money as a means for them not to feel like they can grow. And I feel like when you land when you're, when their goal is to expand that gap between the wealth and the poor, and technology is trying to close that gap,
Always.
that's a that's a conflict of interest. It's not aligning to our objectives. So, I just know that I know someone recently, man, that has built their entire model and have a really great asset, but your business could be gone tomorrow. I think that is
Yeah.
something to be, consider when you're thinking about how do you make this stuff actually work? How do you package this, Wayne, where the business itself still can take advantage of these tools, but not put you in a position where it actually impacts your business, where you may have to close your doors or sit back waiting money in the event that you're waiting for the government to give you access to a tool that's supposed to be available in a private sector.
Yeah, no, that's actually what I was going to ask you is what are some of the things that people can do? And the other thing is like you said, Anthropic and you said chat. I know a lot of people just based on the numbers, a lot of people are just getting exposed to chat and only know chat. So two things. What is Anthropic in relation to chat that had Anthropic as the one that was supposed to, that the government actually went to as opposed to chat? And then how does somebody build a business that's insulated from what's happening?
Man, that's a great question. So Anthropic is another version of Anthropic is Claude, and
Okay.
I think
Are they synonymous?
no, they are
Okay.
synonymous. It's just let's look at Claude as a product under Anthropic. Okay. And then you have OpenAI is comparable to Anthropic, but OpenAI actually has ChatGPT. So those are how you compare the difference between the two. Now, the interesting thing about both is that Chat came on the scene first. And it's really like they
Mm.
paved the way. But most people who are using Chat, and some people still are still kind of using it like a Google search. So if you look at it from now, what I think Anthropic did, which is I think was pretty impressive, is that they started to cater towards the users in a way that how they and give them the resources to them to make it simple and easy for them to use. So they pretty much got three products right now to make it kind of simple. But they have a chat feature just like a chat GPT, and they have a co-work feature, and then they also have a code. So if you're someone who's good at building code, they made it really easy and simple to build between those two. And to answer your second question, how do we make this where it is easy for businesses to win? First and foremost, we have to stop looking at it as a tool and start looking at it for what it is: ownership. This is the first time in history that you can close the door or close the gap between what big businesses had money to actually do compared to small businesses. And part of that is platforms heavy. Social media is really big on this. But if you don't really own the data, if you don't own the access, when you're, like 95% of people who are putting their information into some type of CRM system that they don't have full ownership of, you're always at the beck and call of having to either say to a subscription or have to adjust to any changes or privacies that those companies do. And what we do to help people understand is that you need to own the information first and then build from there. So then be able to create layers in between that allows that information to go out to those secondary, third, peers. And now if something changed, just like if I'm using AI, like if I'm using a, a business that is relying on information and research, make your large language model agnostic. Don't just rely 100% on one or the other. You have to constantly keep moving. We still got mouths we got to feed. So when you're actually working these particular large language model, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but structure it in a way that you control the information and then create layers and adaptive layers in between it to prevent you having to be impacted by change the way somebody may have been affected this weekend.
Yeah, I know if you're listening to this, it sounds like he said a lot, but I promise you, from being in the business and the way I was indoctrinated into the business, it's not anything that you really need to be intimidated by. I think if you learn the tools like I have, and we talk about the three-tiered approach in our webinar, you can go to emcbrain.com, join our webinar every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. We talk through the three tiers, and one of them is the actual tools that people are being sold as a solution to the problem, but it's really not a solution. It's just a band-aid or a bridge. But you learn that different tools have different uses. So Chat, Claude, Gemini, everybody does something better than the other, no different than Lexus, BMW, and Chevy. And then the second thing is when you get good at it, or if you find somebody that is an AI expert, they start to put things together in folders for you or files and give them skills. And now they're seemingly doing more. And you think that you're onto something. And then you have the top tier where it's something that kind of moves with you so that you don't have to do any of that, which is what kind of Touré is alluding to. You don't have to do anything and any of that where everything is kind of tucked away. You just do business as usual. And then the things that used to slow you down that you were seeking AI out for to begin with are just happening behind the scenes organically or autonomously. And I think that's one of the things that we love about this space and why we've kind of evolved and landed where we are in this space, because all we ever really wanted to do was help people. So if any of that sounds like something that's of interest to you, aside from keeping the government out of yet another facet of your life, then just tap in with us on Wednesday. Like I said, every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, emcbrain.com. And we'll be there to kind of walk you through this and answer any questions that you might have.
Absolutely. I think that's good. I think that I want someone to walk away recognizing there has been so many great leaders about building businesses and working on businesses versus working in them.
Hmm.
They've given us frameworks and blueprints for us to follow, but no one really kind of shows you where to start, the how. Like where when you have so many things seeming important, nothing really is important. Like you're just trying to juggling it all. But if you can really imagine, people's concerned about how AI is taking over. But I think I look at it as a way of how to close the gap of actually learning how to work on your business. If you could think about, imagine it actually learn how to think, decide, and operate, your business can. You can take everything that made your business who it is today and centralize that information. So teams and systems and even agents can access that information. So it's not just glued to your head. But then the other thing too is where I'm hoping that people start to recognize, because there's still a ton of people, like there's a very small percentage of people that even know AI exists. Like, I mean, the numbers show there's 8 billion people in the world. And I think it's like 3.2 million that is still currently using it on a regular monthly basis on a subscription base. That's a very small percentage of people that even know the AI is actually endorsed. And so one of the things that we want to kind of help identify is like, think about actions happening because of behavior versus you having to tell those things to do something. That's kind of how that first tool is. Hey, let me put it in chat and it comes back and spit out. But what if a customer responded to you through a post? Wouldn't it be really cool that that response not only responded back to them in your own voice, but then maybe automatically send them an invite to something that allows them to engage with you a little bit more. And it slowly but surely starts walking them through a process of the next logical step without you having to tell it. That's building a business that
Hmm.
moves. And I think that when people see the advantages of being able to spend more time with the people they love that they've been sacrificing for, being able to keep more money in their pocket that they haven't been able to do before, and then be able to envision a world that they can actually impact not only the communities that they serve, but the public at large. I think they'll start really understanding that AI is a means to enhance some of their dreams and visions that they have been limited so over the years. So I definitely think it would be great for you guys to see in real time how making a business move, but just by click of a button and being able to see a whole new world that we haven't been able to actually really touch and feel. We've seen in movies, we're really now in that position now that we can see some of those things we see in movies. I definitely think y'all should tap in because I think once you get exposed to that, man, I think you guys will start seeing a whole new world, especially those who still on the fence with AI for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you said that. And we're gonna get out of here. Just one more thing that you touched on is that I wanted to talk about the friction of people getting into AI. Not only are we hiding the cords, and you don't have to be afraid of it, but one of the things that people are concerned about that I hear all the time, and it's really comes from a place of scarcity, is that if AI can do it, then what does that mean for my job? And you see these layoffs, and this is one of the ways to do a couple of things is to make yourself invaluable to your employer, or to use it as a springboard to go do what you wanted to do with your life, because most people aren't working in their genius, aren't operating from a place of strength. And that's really what AI does, is it takes those menial tasks away, those things that you previously saw as obstacles, to research, to set up all the things, and does those things for you so that you can operate in your genius more readily. So, and that's one of the things that we also touch on in the webinar that we invited you to, amongst other things. So if you want to continue that conversation, definitely tap in. Touré and I will be there along with a few of our closest friends, and we'll do what we can to get you taken care of.
Absolutely. Well, it's a pleasure. And again, see you guys tomorrow.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.